Let me know when we're live.
Madam Chair, you are live.
Thank you. All right, it is 5:03 and I will call to order the May 6th meeting of the Finance Committee. If we could get a roll call, please.
Certainly. Counselor Cassett.
She's excused.
Thank you. Okay. Counselor Faulkner.
Present.
Counselor Lee Garcia.
Here.
Counselor Lindell. Chair Romero Worth.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Okay, do we have any changes to this agenda?
Madam Chair, no changes from staff.
Changes from the committee, and if not, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? That motion passes. On to approval of the consent agenda. Director Oster, I do believe we have a couple things that have been pulled from consent agenda.
Yes, Madam Chair. 2 items were pulled. Item C, 6C, and item 6S.
C and S. Okay, is there anything else the committee wants to hear? Is there a motion?
To approve is amended. Second.
Motion and a second to approve this, what is this? This agenda as amended. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? That motion passes. All right, we then are on to presentations. We have one presentation tonight, audit update from Director Oster. Turn it over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the Finance Committee. So we are about a week and a half out from the submission date for FY23 audit. I am happy to report that the heavy work is done. We're now buttoning things up and getting very close. I just spoke with our accounting officer, Matt Bonifer, and we both feel that we are on track to submit the FY23 audit by the 15th. And Madam Chair, that is my update for this evening. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Questions from the committee? Thank you, Director Oster. All right, on to our consent agenda. We have item C, correct? Yes.
Yes.
Request for approval of amendment number 1 to service agreement item 23-0350 with Coming Home Connection to decrease the number of individuals receiving one-time cleaning services to 5 individuals at a reimbursement rate of $1,300 per person. And we have Julie Sanchez of the Youth and Family Services Division. Welcome. Oh, man, if I could speak. Welcome, Director Sanchez. And I believe Councilor Lee Garcia, you pulled this?
Madam Chair, and thank you, Ms. Sanchez, for being here. Probably be pretty quick, but I just wanted some clarification. As I was reading through the supporting documentation, and what was the main reason to go from 12 individuals down to 5? Is it just what the demand at this point, or is it the cost?
So Madam Chair, Councilor Lee Garcia. So I'm gonna first state a caveat is my staff who oversees this contract is actually on parental leave. And so she's kind of the expert in this field. But what I can glean from just talking with the executive director prior to this is the cost of actual cleanup has increased. So it went from $650 around a rough estimate to $1,300 plus. We cover about 75% of the cleanup, and then private donations cover the rest. Unfortunately, what the staff is seeing at Coming Home Connection is seniors with a higher acuity of need. And so the cleanups end up being bigger, a lot more hazardous, and therefore much more expensive. And so unfortunately for this, in order to balance the contract out, they had to decrease the number of people served because they had to increase the cost of those services.
So is there still a need for additional cleanups? Is 5 enough? Is it sufficient?
So Madam Chair, Councilor Lee Garcia, currently they see the need is going to be around 5 individuals. They did say that if they saw an increased need, they would come back and ask the committee for more support.
And so also the increase in cost is probably through contractors charging more?
That's correct.
Yeah, it just kind of struck me as odd as obviously we're decreasing the amount of cleanups that are being utilized, but the cost per cleanup went up quite considerably. And I just kind of wanted to clarify a couple of things there in regards to that. And so I do appreciate you being here to answer those questions because obviously we want to always get more for less.
Mhm.
But if the 5 cleanups are sufficient at this point, then, you know, I'd hope that we don't go up to 12 cleanups at the $1,300. Would hope that at some point it can be looked at, but can be decreased. Those are really the only questions I had, Madam Chair. There are no other questions. Oh,
Other questions from the committee? Counselor Lindo?
Yeah, welcome, Ms. Sanchez. Is this a one-time or is this over the course of numerous times? Do you know how it works?
So Madam Chair, Counselor Lindell, the way that it's set up, to my understanding, is that depending on how big the cleanup is, they'll come back. I think it's at least 2 or 3 times, and that's that $1,300 total. If there is a smaller cleanup, but it might be hazardous. So if we think about like human waste or animal waste, that $1,300 cost would be at that one-time cleanup.
Other questions from the committee? Yeah, Counselor Garcia.
just to follow up to that, and are the entities that are providing the cleanup services, are they people who are on contract with the city, or is it contractors to the connection, Home Connection?
So Madam Chair, Counselor Garcia, they're subcontracted through Coming Home Connection.
And are you aware of them reaching out to other companies that could potentially be vendors to them?
So Madam Chair, Counselor Garcia, we actually hold them to the same procurement standard that we do. So we require 3 quotes of service to make sure that they're getting the best deal on those cleanups.
Okay, so standard procurement rules would apply. Well, it just goes to show at this day and age what things are costing, so. That's all I have, Madam Chair, thank you. I'll move to approve if there's no.
Second. Motion and a second to approve this item. Is there further discussion? And if not, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Counselor Faulkner. Counselor Lee Garcia.
Yes.
Counselor Lindell. Chair Romero Worth.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, we have one more item, the consent agenda, item S. This is a resolution calling on the New Mexico congressional delegation to advocate for an immediate ceasefire and an end to violence in Gaza and Israel, for the safe and immediate return of all innocent hostages and unjustly held prisoners, for the immediate increase and delivery of humanitarian assistance to Gaza, condemning all forms of discrimination, including Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, anti-Palestinian, and anti-Israeli bigotry, encouraging all residents to seek, invite, and practice civil discourse, expressing sorrow over the loss of lives and over the suffering endured by civilians in Gaza and Israel, and extending sympathies to Santa Fe residents who have been directly impacted by the ongoing violence. And I believe Counselor Lee Garcia, you pulled this item.
Did, Madam Chair, and I just, wanted to pull it. I know that this is obviously something that has been really high on the radar of many residents of Santa Fe. And I think that I know there was some good discussion over this item at Quality of Life. I anticipate there may be some discussion or quite a lot discussion of, over this, at governing body in a couple of days. And so when the initial thought, or introduction of this, resolution was it's in its incubation stage, we received, I could probably count hundreds of emails of, groups or entities or individuals who are actually opposed to this. And I'm in favor of peace. This is what this is about, is try to resolve peace. And I just hope that we're not going down a road here with these type of resolutions, whereas I know that the direction and the sentiment of the governing body, through resolution, goes to the point where we're not representing all who have views in our community. And I know that, there are the majority of people that we've heard from directly, came to this chambers and expressed their views, and it's this is a tough one to kind of, either for or against, because I think that there's quite many different views on this, depending on where you stand. Peace is something that I think we all should strive for. I think that everyone, should respect others. And although taking into consideration that, I'm not an expert on foreign affairs and how this affects, America, and how we as not only a community, a state, and a nation, move forward with influencing decisions that happen in other parts of the world. And so, I just kind of wanted to pull it. I know that there have been some discussion over maybe introducing some amendments, to this. And so just kind of wanted a little bit of background as to what type of work was done initially to come to this resolution. And I guess I know the initial sponsors were, Councilor Castro and Councilor Faulkner. And so maybe from the initial, counselors who brought this forward, if they could maybe speak a little bit towards it.
I'm sorry, Counselor, are you directing that? We don't have staff here tonight, so I'm
Oh,
not
that
sure.
was more towards, Councilor Faulkner, because
Okay.
he was one of the initial,
Counselor Faulkner.
So just real briefly, what happened is there were actually two resolutions that were being tendered. One was from Castro and myself, and the other one was from Cassett and the mayor. And they agreed in principle on many things, but they were coming at the issue from different angles. And so, much like the BPAC legislation, we thought it would be a good idea if we could come together and do one piece of legislation that kind of represented, I don't want to say the sides of the issue, but I think the people being most impacted by what's going on in Gaza. So this ceasefire resolution is actually, I wouldn't even call it a compromise. I would call it like a collaboration on trying to put forth a piece of legislation that was indeed representative of all those impacted without kind of isolating or furthering the divide between the two communities. And so there's and most of the emails we got were actually from a national organization that many of the members do not even live in Santa Fe, and what they were opposed to, none of that language is in the current version of the legislation. And so it's kind of like this was a collaboration to kind of pull the sides together and try to heal the divide that could exist had two pieces of legislation gone forward. Does that help, Councilor Garcia?
Yes, thank you for the, information there, because obviously, I think that it is always great for both sides to come together and come to a compromise. And, I think that I just want to go back to, let me look. There was a, I'm not trying to find it here. I should have had this one pulled up already. But there was a constituent and actually lives in our district, District 3. And so, they take opposition to this as being someone who is actually from Israel, Gaza, and the area that is being impacted so drastically and so horrific of the stuff that's happening out there. And it clearly is a very divisive issue. And so I want to just kind of by discussion, I want to make sure that the public is well aware of the intent of what we are trying to do here. And obviously, I think the reality is that we, as people who want to respect each other and I mean, will we ever live in a world of complete peace? I don't think we ever have. And so I really want to at least have that discussion for those that do oppose this, that they come to an understanding that if this resolution passes, which I believe it will, it already has 5 sponsors, that there was good discussion between those that have voted for it or against it, and that they have the opportunity, obviously, to give their weighted value and what they believe should be done with it. And so I think that was the biggest reason for me to pull it tonight. I believe and I think that we may end up having discussion over this at governing body in a couple of days. And so, that being said, I just want to give respect to those not only that support this, but some who may oppose it. And if they want more information, to please reach out to us before we go for final vote in 2 days. So that was the main reason. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Counselor. Is there a motion?
Second?
There's a motion and a second on this item. Is there further discussion? We got a roll call, please.
Certainly, Madam Chair. Counselor Faulkner,
Yes.
Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell, Chair Romero Worth.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, we do not have discussion items. We do have introduction of legislation. And I believe this item is being introduced by Counselor Lee Garcia, correct?
Yes, Madam Chair, that is correct. If you want a little bit of background on this,
Do you want to read it in
Oh,
to
I
the
can-
record or or I can, or
I can
Director
read it
Lester
into the
can?
record. Let me
However you
just
want to do it.
the right screen. So, this is consideration of resolution number 2024. I don't think it has a complete number there yet. But it's a resolution adopting the City of Santa Fe City Regional Annual Transit Service Plan for fiscal year 2024, approving reimbursing the North Central Regional Transit District NCRTD up to 25,000 for the Mountain Trail 255 road, accepting the NCRTD's fiscal year 2024 proposed funding of regional services provided by the city of $1,313,403, and approving submitting the city's regional annual transit service plan for fiscal year 2024 to the NCRTD's Board of Directors for approval. Director Gabrielle Chavez, Transit Director, was the one who was working on this. Basically, a little bit of a background on it is there was a resolution passed, I believe in 2013 or 2014, in regards to collaboration between Santa Fe County, Los Alamos County, Rio Metro, which runs the rail runner. I believe there's more in the resolution. However, in order for the city of Santa Fe to receive the funding, and there's a formula involved with it, we must submit our annual transit plan to them. So low hanging fruit, money that comes into the city to help also improve our transit, and that's what this is about. So got to introduce it today. Was a timeline to get it to the NCRTD's board meeting in a timely manner, and so we can get that money to the city.
Great, thank you, Counselor. All right, in introduction of legislation, we don't do any further discussion, just introduce and speak briefly as you did to the substance of it. So thank you for that. All right, we do not have an executive session, so we'll go to matters from staff.
Madam Chair, just a reminder that the budget is on the governing body agenda this week on Wednesday. So looking forward to that, and that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Matters from the committee. Matters from the chair. Our next meeting is Tuesday, May 28th. And with that, we